something that's a concern to me as a community member. So, you know, because you can see the demise of the fisheries and the oceans, and you hear about it in papers and on TV and stuff. So, you know, it's good that something like this is taking place, but you know, I would have liked to have had more information. Like it sort of dropped in my lap hours ago, right? And, so I'm just trying to digest all this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a hugely educated guy, but I consider myself fairly smart. But you know, and it would have been nice if a lot more people would have came to this meeting, because you know, I can think of a number of guys that might have been interested to come to this. So unfortunately, I have to leave pretty soon to have another appointment. But you know, this is something that, you know, I'd be interested in getting involved in. You know, because I think it's important that all people in the community have a voice in some of these processes, because it's a huge concern, right?
So what about some of the other folks here? When you think about, this is going to be a committee, it's going to be from Camel River all the way to the Alaska border, and communities are intended to be represented. And so ideally the planning office would like the Coola Valley to feel some ownership of this committee. So like some of the things that have been said in other meetings, so you're aware. Like in Sherwood, they're thinking of establishing kind of a local group, and that local group would maybe send one person to sit with this advisory committee, and they would also kind of participate in those advisory committee meetings over the internet and watch them. I'm not saying that you should do that, I just kind of give you some ideas that others are thinking about. Because it's a struggle for the planning office to make sure that communities really take ownership of this and feel part of it.
There is a local rock and gun club. I know some of the guys there are really interested. There are some groups that definitely interested in this community, for sure.
I guess my question following that is, how large do you figure this committee is going to be? You know, if you want all the local communities involved, whether it be web-based or what have you, because as I mentioned, unless you've got a term of reference and a certain amount of people and who's responsible for responding to whomever, it's going to get huge and out of control. I mean, as big as your PNCIMA meeting was last year, I mean, I've kind of heard some negative things saying it was too big. It was too big, and it can't be productive when it's that big. So unless this group is cohesive enough and representative enough and has the networks, whether they be by telephone, into some of the local communities, it's kind of like Alex's position, where he's responsible for speaking to and for Four Nations. So are you looking to have some type of representative structure for coastal communities or recreation and tourism? I mean, because there's just so many individuals and so many groups out there.
That will be a key difficulty. As I just had a flashback to a meeting we had with the LRMP, we had 130 people at the table, all having one gab equal say, and some of them were from kayaking groups from down on the island, so it was a real struggle to figure out how you'll have the committee make up the representation and then coming up to a workable size group. I'm expecting that it will draw on successes in other planning committees.
So let's just turn it back to you. You've all had experience in the wood camp. How many do you think? Think about it. How big? And obviously a representation structure is required, for sure. And relying on existing ones, like for sports fishing recreation, it's probably going to use the Sports Fish Advisory Board representation. That structure is quite well developed. But for communities, what should be the representation structure? And how big do you think that table should be? I mean,
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, the CCLRMP was before my time, so I have no idea how large that structure was and who was involved. And that's not as big as the group that you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
I mean,
so how big do you think it should be?
I've never been part of a larger process, so even if you've got 40 people, right, it's going to be tough to figure out who's representing who and how to choose those 40 people. Because, I mean, I just have experience at an integrated level with regards to hearing management. And even the people that are at that table, the integrated level that meet in Vancouver, aren't happy with who speaks for them. So it's even, I mean, DFO has tried to work with North and South Coast boards, which enter into an integrated group in Vancouver, and I can't say that we've been all that successful because there's been lots of complaints with regards to our integrated meetings. And this is an integrated meeting at a much larger level than what we currently do, and we have difficulties with our current integrated meetings. So my recommendation would be talk to either the hearing or the salmon groups and figure out what their issues are, because there's been a lot of stakeholders wanting to get those revamped because they don't believe that they're functional. So learn from that and figure out how to, this seems huge to me. I can't imagine this working.
So let's ask Kenny. What do you think, Kenny?
He's dealt with it, so.
I'm gonna go.
Okay, thanks very much.
Well, so, there's a meeting with the regional district.
Yeah.
The regional district wants representation. The first thing is what is the funding? So you need funding for an individual within the communities to actually coordinate the communities, whether it be First Nations or non-First Nations.
Yep, okay.
Right?
That's one of the things to make it work.
And then amongst the communities, they could elect their representative if there was only a decision has to be made. Do they all go to that table, or do they act as a group, and there's a funding pot for them to meet because they're bringing everything from the communities for their representative to sit on something?
And what would you recommend?
I would recommend that first and foremost, the funding needs to be in the year. I don't think it is. Secondly, you need to look for community representation to a point where you have someone in the communities that not only collects information and passes it up, but also takes information and passes it down.
Right.
So you actually have cohesive work going on, and that exchange is happening back and forth.
Right.
How that fits in with the bigger table, I'm not quite sure. You might not want every regional district sitting there, but you might want to have maybe 2 members from regional districts actually sitting at the table and let them elect from amongst that group.
Okay. Did you want something?
Oh, I was just thinking, just playing devil's advocate, but that's making an assumption that the representative of the regional district actually is representing the community. So that would have to be identified
Just
first
repeating
off.
what the regional district said.
Yeah, but so if you took your model, you could have, say, Coola and some of the other Central Coast communities, if there was some resources available to bring people together to talk about the PNCIMA and the forthcoming meeting of the advisory committee, and you could identify 1 person or 2 people that could go and represent all those communities. And then, I mean, certainly, you know, you can imagine, I mean, certainly Prince Rupert and Port Hardy and Camp River are saying the same thing,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
So there needs to be a model that's effective so that ideally, you know, the goal is that you own it. That you, even though not everybody from the community can be there, you've got ownership. And if a representation model like that will facilitate local ownership, we need to make that clear.
As long as local people, and we just heard from them, as long as they feel like they're contributing and they're being listened to, so that information comes back to show